on such a beautiful Minnesota evening. The League of Women Voters would like to welcome you. Tonight we are gathered in reflection, action, and solidarity. This is a peaceful, nonpartisan space bringing us together in support of our local community and democracy. The League's mission and values speak to empowering voters, defending democracy through voter education and engagement, advocating for democracy, encouraging civic participation, and supporting our local leaders. Although nonpartisan, we are political. League focuses on fact-based information, diversity, equity, and inclusive policy issues as they relate to voting rights, civil rights, and other issues of importance to our members and the public. A couple of thank yous to those who have supported us in putting this gathering together in this short amount of time. League members, Celeste Copy, Laurel Ivers, Ruth Soley, Bonnie Graham Grier, and all the rest of the League members that have stepped forward and have supported us and are in attendance as well. But we've got also huge thank yous to go out with other partners that a couple you will hear of tonight, and that is the Isaac Walton League, Friends of Tamarack, Manna Food Co-op, DL Pride, the DL Newspapers, TV3, and First Lutheran Church. There are handouts. Thank you. There are handouts that are being dispersed if you don't have one, but want one, raise your hand and we'll have people come around to make sure that you get those so that you're aware of what we're speaking towards this evening, as well as some contact information to reach out to representatives and share your thoughts, opinions, and get people moving in the directions of the masses that want some change. At the close of our evening, we will have a prayer that will be led by Reverend Kevin Gregory from the Detroit Lakes Methodist Church, and a poem to be of use by Marge Piercy. We will read that together, and it'll be led by Pastor Laurel Ivers. And we'll end with a moment of silence. At the same time, the whole country will be doing that for all the different events that are happening around our country. Turn on your flashlights or your phones, and we're going to listen to some personal stories from organizations within this community that are experiencing some unexpected challenges. And I'm going to start with Bill Hankey.
Can you hear me? Yes. All right. Thank you, Cindy. I'm Bill Hankey, and I'm representing the Friends of Tamarack. And so I really want you to know that since 1992, the Friends of Tamarack have enjoyed a wonderful partnership with the staff of Tamarack National Wildlife Refuge. This has allowed us to faithfully carry out our mission for all these many, many years that values community bonds, that allows us to respect the outdoors and our natural environment. This partnership was integral as we served approximately 800 plus elementary students.
Can't hear you over there.
Okay, 800 plus elementary students from 7 districts in the past 2 months. This is all with quality outdoor education, and these are yours, mine, our children. This is priceless. This jewel of a refuge has been a tremendous source of community pride and has benefited from the love and support from our broader community. Think about this. The refuge hosted 50,000 plus visits in 2024. Think about the economic impact this has on our local economy. Tamarack's volunteer coordinator, who unfortunately is soon to retire, supervised over 130 active volunteers that donated 7,000 plus hours in 2024 to educating our children and running the refuge. Since 1938, this 43,000 acre refuge has been managed impeccably by our dedicated staff. Make no mistake, these are our friends, neighbors, family. Okay, these are not faceless individuals. And this has served to the benefit of all the inhabitants of Tamarack and all of us who have enjoyed it. but 2025, this is all at risk. The truth of the matter is that the U.S. National Wildlife Refuge System has been at risk for years. With current federal administrative actions, this has only worsened. The National Wildlife Refuge System was already down 30% from where it was 15 years ago in terms of workforce. With 2,200 remaining staff, it's managing 90 million land acres and 760 million marine acres. They've been doing more with less for years. Despite all of this, they now face censure, ridicule, confusion, and they're vilified for simply doing their jobs. Make no mistake, they are not representative of a bloated bureaucracy. Closer to home, 3 young women, excellent and promising interns that we nurtured through the summer, serviced our programs, and recently signed on with jobs elsewhere, were terminated. So it hits home. Being promised additional budgetary cuts, and this has happened every year faithfully, further reductions in force, and a looming government shutdown on March 14th, there's a long shadow cast over this. Staff retirement, we have 2 of them, and there is little hope that they will be replaced. So this is really likely to compromise us being able to carry out our mission. What does this translate into? This could mean less trail access, an inability to grow further our outdoor education program and all the children that we've reached for years. Perhaps less trail and water access. That means perhaps hunting and fishing. It'll hamper water quality management, our wild rice, and you can go on and on and on. To sum this up, imagine a tamarack unable to fully embrace the community that adores it and has supported it for eons. So please raise your voice, go to our policymakers at all levels, whether it's local, state, federal, and make it clear that we can be so doggone much better, than what we are now. So in the end game, help us to ensure that beautiful Tamarack, its staff, and the many volunteers that faithfully serve flourish and are able to inspire each ensuing generation to experience and fall in love with nature. Thanks, you guys.
Thank you, Bill. Next up, I have Ryan with Manitowoc.
Hey, Ryan.
Hello? Yeah, that's play. Tough act to follow. My name is Ryan Pesch. I am the volunteer treasurer of Mana Food Co-op here in downtown Detroit Lakes. Geez, you guys are an easy crowd, huh? I think I stand before you today as a bit of a reluctant political activist. Anybody else feel that to some degree? No. This guy's not reluctant. I had some idea back when I was 22, 23 that, I didn't need to change the world through politics.
Now or never.
I said, hey, I walked into the St. Peter Food Co-op when I was 20 years old, and I said, you know what? All this stuff I was doing around politics, I don't necessarily need to do that. I can change the world through food. Right? I followed that mission. That mission brought me to be an apprentice for 2 years. I became an organic farm operator. I spent 2 years down in the Twin Cities. I rented land and started a market garden down in the Twin Cities. Moving up here in 2004, I started Lida Farm in Lida Township near Pelican Rapids, and I've been doing that ever since. Right? And excited to do it. So when the opportunity came, when a little Wendy Gordon said, hey Ryan, we're going to start a food co-op in Detroit Lakes, I'm like, really? In Detroit Lakes? I'd already spent the last 4 years before I moved up here working at Mississippi Market, where I was a greengrocer. Again, why was I doing it? The mission. The mission for me was we can feed people better. We can grow our local entrepreneurs through good food, through building the local food system. And so Wendy came to me, she goes, "You want to be on this board?" Back in 2006, I said, "Yes, absolutely." Right? That's the reason I spent 16 years at that farmer's market down that street. That's why I started the farm that I did. Because the mission was greater. The mission of the co-op is what really has motivated me. It's motivated me not just to, I don't know, just serve on a board. It's not just service on a board. The mission is to feed our community. To feed our community good and healthy food. Another part of our mission is to build a local food system where we are growing our economy. We are growing business and small businesses here in our community. That's what's motivated me. That's what's motivated me not just to serve on that board, but during the pandemic, to get into a capital campaign, to come to this new location down here, to play general contractor, to build a store here at 823. And when the opportunity presented itself, I signed myself up again to serve with my good friend Ruth Soley here to raise some more funds to expand the co-op into a bigger facility, which has some new beautiful windows, by the way. Did anybody see this? So we raise funds. I'm getting a little tired of fighting people online who are like, one more person that wants a handout from the federal government. There's not a handout. There is 1,100 member owners of Manna Food Co-op who came together and raised $180,000. And we did that because we are inspired by our mission, because we believe in our mission of the co-op, of people coming together to grow something that's greater than ourselves. And it's not just at $180,000. I myself put $130,000 into acquiring the building. And I'm again playing general contractor, and I'm happy to do that. And I'm happy to do that because we are growing something good here. Right? So when the opportunity presents itself, more than a year ago, for a USDA funding that made a heck of a lot of sense to build out a shared commercial kitchen that could be used by local entrepreneurs, that could be used by local farm operators to develop value-added products that can be sold and grow their businesses. We said, sign us up. Me and my friend Zachary Page blew 80 hours to get a bunch of letters of support and all the bids, and lo and behold, we were awarded 10 months ago $300,000 to support a shared kitchen.
The richest man in the world quashed it. The richest man in the world turned it down.
No doubt.
Right there, he pulled the plug on it.
He pulled the plug.
Yep.
So despite the good
richest man
intentions
in
of
the
our
world
board,
took your kitchen away.
despite the good intentions of those that are involved in this co-op, not to line our own pockets, not for a handout. It doesn't need to be framed the way it is. It's framed as if we're just a bunch of moochers, or we're a bunch of people looking to line our own pockets and look out for our own good. That is not what's happening here. We are looking for the greater good, the common good of this community, so that together we can grow a better Detroit Lakes. Right? It's bringing in new investment, new development, and that's something I'm quite proud of. Until 4 weeks ago, lo and behold, you get a note. It's frozen. Right? At the exact same time that we are incurring the costs to build out the new expansion. Some people say, well, geez, isn't this alarmist, Ryan? Well, I wasn't alarmed when I only had $6,000 to get reimbursed by this grant. I'm a little alarmed now that I have $80,000 I need to get reimbursed by this grant. And it really calls into question our ability to make that shared kitchen happen. And I do not want that to be. So, that's kind of where we stand, and there's no doubt that in this situation, a promise of a project which would, I think, benefit the wider region and really make us a greater community that supports our entrepreneurs, that supports our local farm operators, is in question in large part because someone decided to pull the rug on us. I will fully admit that elections have consequences. I would fully expect policies to change in the future, no doubt. But I do not expect that the full faith of the federal government is in question when they sign a contract.
Faith in the federal government? There's an oxymoron for you.
Right? The full faith. We were able to get an additional $300,000 in loans from local lenders. Why? Because we had a $300,000 grant. Because, oh my goodness, I wouldn't expect the federal government not to pay its obligations. And that is the financial bind that we are in. And so, it's a great example of what's going on with the freeze in Washington, definitely coming to roost here on our own Main Street. So like Bill, and as all of you all well know, the only way that we can make change by making some noise. Right? We got to let our legislators know, some of whom are very vocal about their support of agriculture and very vocal about their support about rural business development, that I would love to know. Michelle Fishbach, do you support this freeze or not? Because despite dozens and dozens of our members calling, emailing, I still don't know that answer. I don't know that answer. So, stay tuned. Thank you.
Next up is Rebel Marie.
Woo! Let's go, Marie!
Let me see here. Okay, I'm going to keep my mask on. Buzu ni rebel. Buzu ni rebel in Ninigagash. My name is Rebel, and I stand before you today as a transgender person who knows firsthand how vital democracy is. This is just not a system of government, but a safeguard for our dignity and our rights and our ability to exist freely. I'm going to keep my mask on because snot's running down my nose. In Minnesota, not only does a good mask fight frostbite, but it also helps you with public speaking when you're really nervous. But anyway, at its core, democracy is about having a voice. Yet so many LGBT community members have had their voices silenced, ignored, or legislated out of existence. How can we call that democracy? In a true democracy, every person's voice is heard, no matter their identity, and they have the right to shape their government. And for those of you that don't know me, I am the Detroit Lakes Pride president of this area. Many people assume that there aren't any transgender people in this area, but we have a really robust Pride group that had well over 300 people on its first Pride picnic. As well as, if you look at Detroit Lakes newspapers, you can find stories that go back further than, you can find stories about transgender people going back as far as 2015 and so on. There have been trans people in this area well before this area was ever called Minnesota. But I want to get back to democracy a little bit. We are here today to shine a light on democracy. Democracy isn't about just winning rights, it's also about defending them. Around the world, we see our protections being rolled back. Trans people in our community, this community, have been denied health care. States that border ours we'll have businesses that put up signs that say no trans people allowed. A bill passed in Iowa recently that allows businesses to do that.
It's happening. It's happening.
How can you call that a democracy when you kick out a certain part of your population? You just can't. And one thing that's been great about this community is I have found many members who have been ousted out of there coming to here. And one thing that I've told the members of our group is when you lose your home and you come to a place that welcomes you as your home, you do not lose a home, but you gain a family. This is why we must participate. We must vote. We must advocate. We must engage. We must ensure that everyone has a voice, no matter their race, religion, gender, or background. And well, part of being in a free society is dealing with people's freedoms that may make you uncomfortable. I would know that firsthand. So today, I urge you to stand up for democracy, stand up for those whose rights are on the line, because when democracy is strong, justice is possible.
Yeah.
When justice is possible, we move closer to freedom.
Yes.
And as we move closer to freedom, we move closer to the pursuit of happiness. Pete Buttigieg once said, democracy means freedom. Not only freedom from a tyrannical government, but freedom from corporations that try to control us through exploitative labor and rising costs of goods and services. If you take a look at eggs, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So right now, times are tough, and we must envision a path forward. And we must envision a path, and through every open door that we see, we must step through that door. And as we walk through that door, it will strengthen our community and our voice. Don't just look for boycotts or votes right now, because we need to get to tomorrow. Don't ask what needs to be done. Start doing what must be done.
Yes.
This means supporting and celebrating our friends and family. Go to Pride. Go protest. Go read. Go bake bread. Go nurture. Go learn. Go be you. Be the best version of yourself, because tomorrow that person will be the voice that stops our nation's slide into fascism and injustice today. One thing that I have learned in my life is when people who hate you, they see you being joyful, even when they try to oppress you, it makes them madder than you can ever imagine. So celebrate your joy as much as you can. McWelch, and thank you so much for being here today. As we light up our path for tomorrow, have a good night and stay safe.
Good evening, friends. My name is Kevin Gregory, and I am the lead pastor at Detroit Lakes United Methodist Church. The League of Women Voters asked me to offer a prayer or some words about hope right now. And I will confess that I have seen a lot of people recently say that this isn't a time for hope. That what is needed right now is for good people to get angry, which I think is a thing that good people can often forget. I've seen other people say this is a moment for curiosity. The trans science fiction author Charlie Jane Anders wrote in her newsletter recently about cultivating curiosity, saying, "Curiosity feels super important to me for a bunch of reasons. It keeps the world big, full of discoveries I haven't encountered yet. It reminds me that there is so much that I don't know, including plenty of things that complicate a doom and gloom perspective on reality. Staying curious also feels like a way to be different from the people who want to destroy me, whose defining trait seems to be that they have made up their mind and don't need to take in any information that might contradict their worldview." Now, as a pastor, I traffic in questions of hope. And I recognize tonight that not everyone here shares the faith that I have, and that many here have probably been actively hurt by church communities like mine. But this would be my prayer for us at this time and place. I pray that you allow yourself to be angry, like the one I call Savior, who flipped the tables of the rich and powerful and the greedy. I pray that your anger is useful and doesn't cause you to hate others or to hate yourself. I pray that you find value in community and recognize that you are not alone. That there are people here that we are to lean on, people here that love you and value you. I pray that we go to one another for help, for healing, for food, for sustenance, for mutual aid, and for peace. I pray that you stay curious and allow yourselves moments of joy and flourishing. You were not made to doom scroll and consume news 24 hours a day. Joy is as much a protest as being here. I pray that those of us who have more privilege than others recognize that this is a time where we will need to put our bodies and our persons in the middle of those that seek to harm those of our community with less privilege. Our transgender friends, our queer friends, our poor friends, our friends of color, our elderly friends, and those that are the most vulnerable. Just as it was that the one that I call Savior put his body on the line for the most vulnerable of his time. I pray that if you are despairing in this moment, that you know that though it feels like a version of this world is ending, and it very well may be, that this is not the end of the world. The fascists, the authoritarians, the tyrants, the fear-mongers, and the long story of history do not win, and have never won for very long. As the prophet Mary, mother of Jesus, once spoke in the Gospel of Luke, God has scattered those with arrogant thoughts and proud inclinations. God has pulled the powerful down from their thrones and lifted up the lowly. God has filled the hungry with good things and sent the rich away empty-handed. This moment right now is not the end of the story. And so I pray that if you are looking for hope tonight, that you look around you. We are not getting through this alone. And that is the whole point. I pray that this isn't the last time that we see one another for the next 4 years, and however long it takes, for justice to prevail and for love to reign. And so may it be so. Amen.
And before I give the mic over, I also want you to pay attention to that handout, and I do have more if you didn't get one. There is contact information to reach out to our representatives, the local as far as statewide, to share your thoughts, your beliefs, your anger, and ask for more action to happen that will impact all of our lives.
Ruth Soley gave us this poem and said that it's one of her favorites. When we heard it, we wanted to share it with all of you. So if you would like to read it with me, we'll read it together. It's called To Be of Use. It's by Marge Piercy. The source is Circles on the Water, Selected Poems of Marge Piercy, published by Alfred K. Knopf in 1982. Please join me. The people I love best jump into work head first, without dallying in the shadows, and swim off with sure strokes, almost out of sight. They seem to become natives of that element, the black seals, half-merged balls. I love people who harness themselves and an ox cart to a heavy cart, who pull like water buffalo with massive patience, who strain in the mud and muck to remove what has to be done again and again. I want to be with people who submerge in the task, who go into the fields to harvest and work in a row and pass the bags along, who are not parlor generals and field deserters, but move in a common rhythm. When the food must come in, the fire be put out. The work of the world is as common as mud. Botched, it smears the hands, crumbles to dust. But the thing worth doing well done has a shape that satisfies, clean and evident. Greek amphoras for wine or oil, Hopi vases that yield coin are put in, but you know the pitcher cries for water to carry and a person for work that is real. I'd like to read let's read those last Those last three, well, just starting with Greek amphoras. That's a fun word. Let's start there. Greek amphoras for wine or oil, Hopi vases that yield coin, are put in museums, but you know they were made to be used. The pitcher cries for water to carry, and a person for work that is real.